I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. CNN continues to crash. According to a recent report, CNN's primetime viewership has now fallen below Newsmax. CNN primetime has dropped on Friday to 335,000 average total viewers. Prime time from 8 to 11 p.m. That's below Newsmax, which scored at 357,000 average prime time viewers. And when you go to the demographic of 25 to 54, you're talking about 87,000 average viewers. And so since CNN has taken this turn to the right, CNN assessed the landscape. They brought in Chris Licht to run the network, and their view was, we need to look more like Fox. No, what you should have assessed is you need to lean in more on pro-democracy content. And CNN has just been completely and utterly losing viewers and losing credibility each and every day. I mean, look, before that debacle of a so-called town hall where they platformed Donald Trump, they brought in 400 Trump supporters that looked like a Jerry Springer audience to mock sexual assault victims and to mock our democracy and to kind of laugh at it. It looked like a traveling fascist circus. I don't even know what the heck that was, but even Donald Trump was mocking CNN about how they needed him for their ratings. I mean, CNN has so debased itself. Here, this is Donald Trump before that event, basically just mocking CNN. Play this clip.
I'll be doing CNN tonight live from the great state of New Hampshire because CNN is rightfully desperate to get those fantastic Trump ratings back. They were ratings like none other, and they want them back. They made me a deal I couldn't refuse. Could be the beginning of a new and vibrant CNN with no more fake news, or it could be a total disaster for all, including me. Let's see what happens tonight at 8 o'clock.
And then in terms of who CNN had to host the event, who CNN wants as their new kind of star anchor, Caitlan Collins. I mean, before Caitlan Collins was at CNN, she worked for Tucker Carlson. She worked at the Daily Caller. Here, this is some recent footage of Caitlan Collins that has surfaced of her just saying, you know, it's just some xenophobic and just disgusting stuff. Here, play this clip.
Do with the immigration crisis.
Good morning. Okay, so George Soros is this foreign-born left-wing guy who essentially wants to change the nature of our country. And in this data dump, one of the memos was about the refugee crisis. And they made 3 points. They think that they've been successful at influencing immigration policy across the world. They think that the refugee crisis is an opportunity to continue doing so. And they think the refugee crisis is the new normal. And George Soros is this guy who is a staunch advocate for open borders. He wants people to be able to go wherever they want, whenever they want, for whatever reason. And for him, he sees this immigration policy, this crisis, as a vehicle to further his immigration agenda.
I mean, that's who Caitlan Collins is. I mean, that was what she was spewing before she was brought on to CNN. And now we also have learned that Chris Licht has allegedly put the fear of God, this is what the report was, into a reporter named Oliver Darcy, whose job is to cover the media. That's his beat. And it says, according to this article by Radar, it said CNN's Oliver Darcy is scared he'll be fired after Chris Licht put the fear of God into him over the Trump town hall critique. I mean, like, what in the world is CNN doing? By the way, this is what Oliver Darcy said after that so-called town hall. He goes, "It's hard to see how America was served by the spectacle of lies that aired on CNN Wednesday evening," wrote Darcy in CNN's reliable source newsletter. And CNN aired it all, Darcy continued. On and on it went. It felt like 2016 all over again. It was Trump's unhinged social media feed brought to life, Darcy wrote. And he said that Trump staffers were delighted by the spectacle. Darcy also wrote that CNN and new network boss Chris Licht are facing a fury of criticism, both internally and externally, over the event. How Licht and other CNN executives address the criticism in the coming days and weeks will be crucial. Will they defend what transpired, or will they express some regret? For now, CNN is defending itself. That is what Darcy wrote after that so-called town hall event. And then Darcy got the fear of God put into him by Chris Licht, who demanded a meeting, and according to the meeting, publicly scolded Darcy in front of others. He left Darcy visibly shaken. According to reports, Darcy has wondered to colleagues whether he should resign or if he will be fired after being summoned, and Chris Licht told Darcy that he was acting too emotionally. According to this report, Darcy does not intend to resign, and his newsletter will be put out per usual in the evenings. And by the way, Darcy took over that role for Brian Stelter, who previously had the role, who was fired by CNN. And by the way, if you actually go through some of these ratings of these shows, and like you look at CNN's, morning shows and later shows in the day, and you're talking about 293,000 total people are watching, 263,000 people are watching, 200,000 people are watching. And even when you go to Newsmax and this network, News Nation, they're talking about 41,000 people watching, 158,000 people watching. On this other Newsmax program, 223,000 people are watching. News Nation now, 39,000 people are watching. More people watch the MeidasTouch network live streams and shows that we have here on our YouTube channel than a lot of these major news networks. And that's because, and I've noticed the correlation here, as CNN continues to look more and more like Fox, they're losing their viewers, and their viewers are now coming to the MeidasTouch network. So I guess in some sense, while I guess selfishly I would say thank you to CNN for allowing your viewers to become Meidas Mighty and MeidasTouch network viewers, they've so assessed this wrong. One of the tactics of fascism, and I say this over and over again on the MeidasTouch network, is to project a type of strength, to project a size that doesn't actually meet reality, and to kind of work the refs, to try to make people believe that you need to be appeased because you are bigger than you actually are. That's Donald Trump's tactics. That's the whole tactic of the MAGA Republican movement. And by the way, when they talk about the rally size, and look, if you go back throughout American history and you look at events that were held by cults, yeah, they can draw a crowd of a few thousand people. It's unfortunate that they can, but historically that's been something that they're able to do, in small stadiums and small theaters, where the cult leader would speak to their cult followers. We talked about on the MeidasTouch network this event that was held at Trump Doral over the weekend. It was just a QAnon event. It was called Reawaken. It's this traveling fascist circus that features Mike Flynn and Trump's kids, and Trump calls in on it, and they have these people who call themselves prophets who talk about technologically advanced mermaids coming to attack America. This is stuff that they're talking about. This is the modern day Republican Party. In the past, our media networks would look at that and say, that's crazy, that's dangerous, that's insanity, and you would just call it out for what it is. But today, the media networks try to appease that. They try to embrace that. CNN's view about all of this is, how can we coddle MAGA? How can we, MAGA is just another political party, is basically the way CNN treats it. Let's treat them like they are just another side of the debate and part of legitimate political discourse. No, your job is to tell the truth, okay? the pro-democracy community, people who want objective data, people who want the truth in America, there's so much more than this tiny, small, but very loud MAGA movement. And it is so disgusting that CNN would fall for this, that they would say, hey, we need to direct our programming for that small base who hates CNN to begin with, rather than saying there is a huge portion of our country that is just craving the truth, right? When Donald Trump holds these insane and dangerous rallies, American people, we can see with our own eyes what's taking place. We know what's happening. We don't need headlines like from CNN, Trump and his team are attempting to adopt a more traditional campaign, or even from Associated Press, Trump is trying a more disciplined campaign. New York Times says Trump has embraced a more humbling and traditional style on the campaign. No, he hasn't. And Americans were sick and tired of being gaslit. That's why CNN's ratings are in the dump. That's why people are cutting their cords for traditional media, because we can see with our own eyes what's happening, and we don't need a gatekeeper like a CNN to tell us the opposite of what we see with our eyes. And that's what we do here at the MeidasTouch Network, in calling that stuff out and making sure we just spread the truth. Am I going to give you my opinion? Are our hosts here going to give you their opinion? Sure, we are. But we're not going to lead with that. What we're going to lead with is, here is what the court document says. Here is what the facts are objectively. Here's what is actually being said. Play the videotape. You can assess it for yourself. Now, after watching the videos, after reading the court filings, then I'll share for you, yes, here is my opinion, because if we are a nation of law and order, we need to hold these people accountable. Or here is my opinion, if MAGA Republicans say that there's a whistleblower, and then every time they say there's a whistleblower, the whistleblower disappears, yeah, I'm going to say they lack credibility, right? If Donald Trump holds a rally and starts saying fascist things, starts saying that he wants to bring Mike Flynn and have a major role for Mike Flynn back in the government, if he starts spewing hate against Americans and dehumanizing people, yeah, I'm going to call the behavior, I'm going to call it out for what it is. When Donald Trump posts on a social media platform and calls prosecutors mad dog psychos and holds baseball bats and acts like he's threatening judges, that's disqualifying behavior. So I'm going to show you the photo. I'm going to let you make the decision, and then I'm going to tell you how I feel. So frankly, good riddance, CNN. Chris Licht, this strategy is not only bad for our democracy, bad for our country, it's bad for your business, and you will go down in history, frankly, as one of the most shameful leaders of any media enterprise, a complete and utter disgrace. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers. Thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch and wherever you get audio podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. We had a really good podcast the other day that I think you will really, really enjoy. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas. Have a great day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.